Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. Now, this is part 2 of 2 videos where I'm making some picnic blankets for the coronation, and this is the last time we saw this design. I'm now going to, in this video, add some wadding, a backing and quilt it, and then I'll add a trim around the edge. This design, as you may remember, is postage stamps, crowns and afternoon tea with a little bit of British flag waving thrown in. This design's quite square and I've used a very deep golden yellow for the border, so the backing is going to be from that same sheet, and this was organic cotton from Dunelm. The other design will be similar with a paler gold border, but the quilting on that one will be different because of the design. I can do very square shapes on this one. I've got to really think about the quilting design for the other quilt. Let's have a look and see what it looks like. I've cut the backing a few inches wider than the width. For my wadding, I'm using this cotton feel polyester. It's not very thick, but it just gives that nice little bit of softness. The difference with this one is I bought 10 metres and I bought it on a roll, and it's 60 inches wide, so there's no piecing having to do on this one. And because it's on a roll, I'm hoping I can start at the top and roll it down. I'm working on my bed, which is my largest flat surface in my flat. So let me try pinning it from the top. I'm doing the backing, which is 52 inches square, wadding, and then adding my topper, just like this. I always recommend using lots of pins, and these are nappy pins or shaped pins, and I recommend that you pin the darkest fabric so that no holes are going to show through on that. And then as I've done it, I'm just going to check on the back that it looks flat before I take this anywhere near the machine. As you can see here, I've ended up with a tuck, so I'm going to correct that and repin it before I go to the machine. To get ready for quilting, I've done 3 things. I've changed my needle to a 100. I just wanted a sharp needle on here. I've altered my tension using this knob, and I've turned it clockwise, and I've also altered the stitch length, and I've got about a stitch length of 3 now. And then I've checked the tension, and I wasn't happy with my tension when it looked like this. Can you see when it looks like you can see a horizontal stitch going across your work? That's the bobbin tension wrong, and if you pulled on that, you'd find that the thread slips at the top. When checking your tension, I find it helpful if you make up a test piece comprising of the actual fabric that you're using. That way you get a more realistic test. And I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's proceed. As usual, I'm going to start in the middle and work outwards. As you remember, I can only use a straight stitch on this machine, and I've got one hand to guide me because one hand's on the handle. So I'm going to do a straight stitch on the insides of the larger squares I don't think I'm going to quilt this at all. Let's start in the middle, work down, and then I'll work this way across. You'll realise at this point the benefit of using the walking foot and changing your needle, because there's actually a big thick bulk of seams to cross when you get to this point, and it's actually quite hard on the machine. Just keep going gently and you'll not break your needle. as I'm sewing on the border, my needle is central in this space. I'm just trying to see down this edge on the inside, the edge of this yellow border, and I'm trying to get this edge here right on the edge, just to try and keep the straightest line that I can. And I'm adding a trim of bias binding. I'm just sewing it so that I've got some filling, some wadding to put inside this edging to give it a little bit of substance. I'm adding this binding so that I've got some filling between this and the backing. So there's the first quilt finished. It's a good cuddle blanket size or a picnic blanket size. It honours the Queen and the coming King and Queen, the outgoing and the incoming. And I've done this for a little girl who's got a very big week this week because she's 3 this week. And I've done this to send to her grandma. So I want this to be a quilt that she associates with her grandma. Let's have a look on the back. Simple quilting on the back. Again, it's fully washable. It's lightweight. I'm going to pop it in the post today. I want this little girl to think of nice picnics or afternoon tea times spent with her grandma or cuddling up on the settee. And I want it to be an heirloom for her to keep. And as usual, I put a little message for her just at the bottom. Right, that's one down. Another one to go. And I've got more to do there on the settee, you can see, can't you?